But in the Indian context, when an Indian OEM, an Indian automaker does something brave, what we should do, what we must do, is give them a standing ovation. That is no special edition. That is the new Tata Nexon. F***ing hell. I am often accused of overusing a word, but I'm gonna use it now. It's epic. And as first impressions go, I think using a color palette this bold, that's pretty impressive. Especially considering the fact that if you wanted this in a sports car, you'll probably pay the equivalent of 3 Nexons just for the exterior paint. It's been a while since we saw bold colors, isn't it? Reminds me of the greats, the Zen, the Palio, Civic, Nano, Tarzan. But of course, enough of that. Let's start with the most polarizing thing in this car then. Nah, it's not the purple seats. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this, the slab-sided steering wheel. People are going to absolutely hate this design language. I don't know why. I mean, design, the point of design is it's supposed to elicit a response. And response is what it's eliciting. I mean, look, is the lit up thing a little too much? I think it's a bit of a gimmick, but it's okay. But look how many aftermarket people now offer lit up steering logos for a whole bunch of different cars. It's going to be a menace, this thing. But the other thing that's going to elicit a big response is this panel. Because all the buttons now are capacitive touch. The fog light, hazards, the boot opening, the unlock, lock, 360 camera. Now, I've in the past said that I like my buttons more than capacitive touch, but that's mainly because a lot of manufacturers put everything in the screen. This, well, people are still going to hate it, not maybe as much as a steering wheel, but still a little bit. But at least they've kept the AC toggle or fan toggle as toggles and not as buttons. So it's still okay. But I like it. I sort of, kind of like it. In fact, I like it as much as I like the instrument cluster. And I like it as much as I like this really cool screen. But I really hope it doesn't have any niggles, because Nexons, no wait, Tata Motors cars in the past have had niggles. Lots and lots of niggles. Sadly, this had a few niggles too, but it wasn't nearly as bad as some of the stuff we've had in the past. And then, here is one of my biggest issues. There is no cup holder. Where am I supposed to put my large Coke and no ice? And there is no general storage for your phone either. And the cubby hole that was in the center on the first generation is now a wireless charging pad, which takes up most of the space, so it's a little smaller. And these things might not matter to us when we drive it for a couple of hours or a couple of days, but in terms of ownership, it does matter. On the positive side though, the seats feel superb in the front and in the back. Materials are really a big step up, and it's comfortable in the back as well because the rear seats have been reprofiled. And when you do sit in the back, the black headliner and the pillars make the car look a lot more premium on the inside. That was a good call. Tata calls this car brand new. It isn't. It's like half and half. Remember, you had women who were in your school, or girls who were in your school, who went away for a summer holiday and came back looking nice. And I had a friend who went to Europe for a year and he came back with an extra foot added onto him. Urwan, I'm talking about you. You know exactly who you are. But look, there are some bits and pieces that have stayed sort of similar, like the side profile is almost the same. This design element has been retained from the original Nexon. That's not really new. And usually I'm not a big fan of the whole LED on top and the whole headlight below design element. I prefer a more conventional design. But in this case, this seems to work. And I like the extra detail they've added on to the side of the daytime running light as well. I mean, even the grille looks nice. Now, unsurprisingly, one of the things I don't like are the wheels. They are 16 inches and I like the design element. Don't get me wrong. I like the way how they fused all of this design into that design. but they're 16s, and that's too small, like really small. But the problem is, I know for a fact that they can't go 17 because the platform will not allow them. There are no tolerances left. If Tata wants to design suspension of the Nexon the way they do suspension setups, they can't go 17s. The rear is a bit polarizing too, and I can see why people are calling it a Hyundai, for example. But the signature, the light signature, is kind of nice. It's different. And that means you can play the guess what car that is game. That's always fun, no? And while we're at it, nice job on hiding away the rear wiper, Tata. Very slick. Okay, if you're watching this video on the day we've uploaded this on the PD channel, which you should be because you should have had a notification about it, because you should be subscribed and you should have the notification icon or notification ghanta, as I call it, clicked. So that's that. But look, I'm saying this because bookings for this have opened on the 4th of September 2023, in case you're watching this in 2035. And prices have come out on September 14, 2023. So if you're thinking of buying one, this is a time you and me to have a candid discussion. And that discussion is about insurance. Because if you're thinking of getting this car, you don't necessarily have to get insurance from the dealer. You can get it independently, and that'll probably be cheaper. And if you are thinking of getting insurance, you have to think of Insurance Dekho. In fact, block everything else out right now temporarily and only think of Insurance Dekho. Yep. They can sort you out with insurance as cheap as 6 rupees a day. Dude, that stat always blows my mind. Always. And you can get it in like a minute. That's crazy. And you can get it whenever you want. In fact, you can get it now. No. Wait. Don't get it now. Watch the video till the end and then you can go and get your insurance, because otherwise you won't watch my video and that's bad for us. Don't do that. But even when you do want to get it, the people who actually help you get it, they live and breathe insurance. They love it. And this is peak festive season that's about to start. Car buying season for India, isn't it? So if you're going to save some money and buy cheaper insurance, you can spend your money doing nicer things during the festive season. Like you can get that extra box of mithai or the extra 2 boxes of mithai, because the second box you should send me. I mean, you will, right? You should. Okay, enough talking about mithai and insurance. Time to get back to the Nexon, because I really want to drive the damn thing. Okay, before I talk about how this car drives, there are a couple more features that I do want to actually mention. First and foremost, you get a sunroof which opens, and of course it's too hot, so we're going to keep it completely shut, because it seems that the monsoons have absolutely disappeared from India, especially in Jaipur. But to counter that, you get cool seats, so that keeps my ass cold, which is necessary. And they are very, very effective, unlike some cool seats I've actually had the pleasure of putting my butt in recent times. So that's a good thing. Now, the number of engine options and gearbox options that Tata gives is unbelievable. Now look, there is an EV coming. We will drive that soon, so there will be a video for that soon, so we know that's happening. But you still get petrol and diesel engine options, that's 2. Then you get petrol manual 5-speed for like the base model. Then you get a petrol manual 6-speed for like a higher spec model. Then you get a petrol with an AMT gearbox for the sort of entry level automatic. And then you get this, which is a petrol DCT, like a fully loaded petrol automatic blah blah version. Then you get diesel. Then you get a 6-speed manual in the diesel, and you get the 6-speed AMT in the diesel as well. Sadly, no DCT in the diesel, and that's fine completely, because costs would be prohibitive to have a diesel plus DCT. And also, I mean, people do buy more petrols today than diesel, so that is completely fine. Now, if you expect this DCT to be as great as the DCTs in a Porsche 911 or a BMW M car or even a VW Polo, it isn't. It is actually a little slow. It doesn't even feel like a DCT. It feels like a torque converter which is well sorted out. But it doesn't have that crazy feeling of the AMT. Now don't cut out that part and make a meme out of it, okay guys? I know you guys love doing stuff like that, but that sound effect was what it actually does, what the engines actually do. Now 120 horsepower from this 3-cylinder petrol engine is sufficient. That's one of the most powerful engine options in this category, and As long as it sort of moves, it's fine. But the thing is, it doesn't accelerate as hard as you would expect it to be, because like the Nexon before, and like a lot of other cars in this category as well, say for example the Venue DCT, doesn't really go great from say a standstill, but works really well on the highway or in the city. This thing will be an amazing highway cruiser. And that brings me to suspension setup. The Nexon has always been the absolute benchmark, isn't it, in this segment? I mean, I'm going up this nice twisty road, nice twisty hill, and it still feels absolutely as perfectly nicely set as it was in 2016 or 17. So, I mean, 6 years ago, long time ago, in fact. And another thing this thing is an absolute benchmark in is, of course, the ride quality. And that's something that's always been the Nexon's trump card, isn't it? I like putting the Nexon into potholes just because I find it funny how unfazed the car gets. It has always been like this. It's always been great in terms of handling, great in terms of ride quality, and always been slightly underwhelming in terms of the way it drives because of the slightly lackluster engine combined with that AMT gearbox. This DCT solves that problem. Now, I always say this, right, in every video I do, that we at PowerDrift are going to talk about safety irrespective of whether the car is, or we think it is going to be good at it or bad at it. But in this case, I don't even have to like wager anything. Like, if you remember in the Elevate, I wagered if that Elevate doesn't score 5 stars, I dye my beard blonde or white or whatever. In this case, I know this is going to be a 5-star car. The Nexon has always been, or has in the recent past been, a 5-star car, and this will continue now. It's got 6 airbags, it's got seatbelt reminders for the rear as well. That's something that's mandatory in any case. Overall, I mean, I feel completely cocooned and safe in it. And I don't know if they've actually done this or if this is something that's mental, but this feels more damped, more quiet than almost anything else in this segment too. I'm doing 65 kilometers an hour, around 3,500 RPM in 4th gear, and it is quiet. Oh, by the way, all that excessive wind noise, that's vanished too. I actually asked the Tata R&D team how much quieter this was, and the answer was almost 50% better than the last one. That's huge! And that is exactly how this car sums itself up. Once the benchmark of the segment, the OG Nexon was overshadowed by new cars, but it was never overshadowed in sales charts. And now with this new design, new interior, new gearbox, new everything almost, it's going to give a lot of people a lot of nightmares. In fact, with automakers and the Nexon's targets already scrambling to announce updates, it seems like Tata does have a big winner on their hands. So, is it bold? You're damn right it is.